Hey, you there! Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Alliance Forever. Today, I have a 4v4 custom match on the map The Drunken Beetles Dance, specifically the FAF version. Let's go ahead and introduce our players for today, starting with Team 1 down in the bottom left-hand corner. In purple, we have Lord Castile as a Cybran going first land. To his south, we have Eternal in blue going first land as an Aeon. Further to his south, we have the Stoff going first land as a Seraphim in dark blue. And last but not least for Team 1, in teal, we have Olawane as a UEF going first land. That's everyone for Team 1. Let's move on to Team 2 in the northeast. We have in orange, Miles Glory Sus going first land. To his north, we have another UEF, Biomutant 9000 in red going first land as well, second air in the back. To his northwest, we have in crimson, Gib 80 going first land, second air as a Cybran. And last but not least, for Team 2, we have Escapism Needle going first land as a UEF in yellow. So, for racial disparities, we have, and faction counts, we have 3 UEF and 1 Cybran for Team 2. And we have a Cybran and a Seraphim and 2 Aeon for Team 1. So missing UEF Tech in the southwest and missing Seraphim and Aeon Tech in the northeast. This map is very interesting because it connects all the way around in a most at least circle-ish fashion. Again, it's a square trying to be a circle, so you gotta look out for that. We have like a mini little Setons in the middle in this island with the 2 side islands as well. So for those who love to watch Setons play, we have a little mini version of that in the middle. Lots of water. Lots of mexes in the water as well, so expect to see pretty much all of the players on both sides going mass Navy game. Again, we have to watch out for these land incursions to the north and the south because the land bridges are connected, so got to watch out for our players having some sneaky plays over there. And I don't see anybody using these very corner water spots for pretty much anything. So let's see what we got going on. We got some air scouts coming out from Team 1, seeing what's up with the enemy. We have a similar play going for the northeastern team, Team 2 as well. So pretty much everybody's on point with the air game in terms of interceptors and scouting. We have a drop going down for both teams for the middle Setons Island. That's what I'm going to call this middle island, mini Setons. We have a drop of all engineers, it looks like, for Team 1. Oh, sorry, Team 2, excuse me. I have to get used to that. And then Team 1, we have some engineers over here. Some engineers over here. Good to see that he's spreading out those engineers. The interceptor does find the transport. That is not going to finish landing. And he loses an engineer, but he does drop 4 of the 5. For the northern side of this island, we do have all the engineers dropped over here for the small expansions, dropping 1 in the back. I guess just in case there's other interceptors. There is this air scout in play, but no offensive capabilities on that. We have some early mexes for the water. Starting to get that juicy mass from the bottom of the sea. And remember, you can place structures other than naval factories in the water, and also of course naval sonar. You can actually ring these mexes as well, so you can get the full benefit that you would on land. So it's a very good addition to BAF. I like it. I find it a good use of those mexes. Transport going down for Team 2, but he did drop that engineer, and are they actually going to get it, I wonder? Oh, they will. It's just taking a while, and then just starts to reclaim the mass from that downed transport. Not a whole lot of movement on either side. We do have a little bit of movement over here on the northwest, pushing up to these mass points just to secure them. We do have the comm of Lord Castile moving up to secure that section as well. And we have his mirror all the way on the bottom, Miles, doing very similar things down here. Reclaim on this map is pretty much primarily centered around the middle island, the mini Setons. Not a whole lot of reclaim, so a lot of players will just have to focus on collecting mass from these mass extractors. We have some early scouting going on for the mini island in the middle, mini Setons Island going in the middle. We have a bomber out for Destoft as well, so starting to get that early aggression down. Team 1 has the air game in the middle. They have obviously the most interceptors and are able to secure the skies above this island for themselves. Side island starting to be occupied by both players. For the mini Setons, that cliff position, side island definitely has the nice sort of reclaim. 2 mass destructors as well as a little bit of mass and some rocks kind of on the side, as well as obviously all of these trees. That's mainly power, but there, there's like a couple mass in there. He's able to get, let's see if he lands it. Both islands have now been conquered by Team 1, so good to see that play out there. We have 1 naval factory online for Team 2 from Miles, and 3 activated online for escapism. We have 1 on the way constructed for Lord Castile, and 2 constructed on the southern side for Olawain. So naval production starting to be more of a priority for now. We do have an early sub. Let's see if Team 1 has a counter to that. They are producing a frigate, so that is not the good counter for that. It would be interesting to see if Team 2 is able to lock Lord Castile out of the naval game quite early. We only have 7 minutes in the match so far. Land forces in the mini Seton starting to be built up for Gib. We have mass land production factories on the way for the Stuffed, but we'll see if that does amount to anything, because again, he needs the units to counter, and if he doesn't have units, then it's not really going to matter. Bombers out for both players, starting to whittle down some early forces, but anti-air is a good mix to include in your land because it's able to fight back against these early bombers and interceptors. Gun range and damage on the way for Miles in the southeast, starting to secure the rest of that beachhead, making sure no run-bys happen to his main base, which is a very good move. We see the comm of Olawain kind of just hanging out, enjoying the nice view. If I can actually get a good view on the comm. Enjoying a good view of that cliffside. We can see his opponent in the distance getting that damage and range upgrade. Oh, he's starting to build a factory. Look at that. We finally have a sub built for Castile. He's able to counter that attack sub. And there's a frigate coming in to help deal more damage. They are not going to be able to knock him out of the naval game, especially due to the fact that they have 2 subs and frigates can't hit back. So streaming your units in 1 by 1 probably was a good idea in the very beginning, but now that your opponent's built something up, it's good that he's seeing them pull back and moving more towards this side island over here. We have a drop in the back, or in the middle, I should say, of the enemy positions. We have 2 forces out from Lord Castile going for a pincer maneuver. Let's see if he moves these ones up. He should, though. Let's see if he's going. He doesn't look like he's going to. And he's not even moving them up all the way. He should move these up because don't want a enemy getting a foothold. And and escape system's like, yeah, that's probably a bad idea. I'll get the mexes and I'll get the intel, and I'm out. And there's also a mechs over here you could go grab too as well. And that's exactly what he went for. Look at that. I don't know if the intel was a good idea, but getting the mass, I think it's 49 seconds. I think it's less than a minute before the mass extractor pays for itself. So if he holds that for a minute, he'll definitely get more than what he paid for. So that's always nice investment on that hand. Naval production in full swing for him as well. And doesn't look like anybody on Team 1's really hyper-focusing on Navy at the moment. We do have almost all of the players that have naval factories, but I don't see a mass push from one player or the other. Fight going down on the choke point for mini Setons. Some Mantis fighting some Thymes in mid. Doesn't look like anybody's really going to gain any ground from that. We'll have to check up on that when more forces have been built up. Do we have any movement from the comm? Yes, we do. That gun speed and range comm is now on the way. That giant cannon on his right hand just bapping away enemy units. One-shotting these Aurora. The downside with these Aurora are they're very weak in terms of hit points. So as you can see, upgraded comm can one-shot everyone. They are better at range because they outrange pretty much all of the T1. I think all of the T1 tanks for the other factions. But obviously the downside is the less armor. So everything's got to give and take in FAF, just like most RTS games. So you just got to be able to hedge your bets and be able to focus on the advantages of one faction if you only have access to one faction, and try to minimize the downsides of that faction as well. I see T2. Oh no, only T1. Thought I saw T2. Oh, I do see T2. T2 has been achieved for Miles as well. Looks like he's going for destroyers. I think those are destroyers. Yeah, those look like destroyers. And also getting some naval defenses. It's not really that needed, but if there is a naval rush down from his opponent, that is a good way to counter that early on. So, is it needed? No. Is it useful? Yes. So you got to take your pick on that. More of a push in mid from Team 1. It looks like they are starting to whittle down the forces of Gib, but looks like they might have overextended and focused their sights on the wrong targets. I would have focused on the tanks. They probably just did an attack move. But more tanks coming into support, but shooting them in one by one again is not the way you should do it. Again, the damage is going on these anti-air units instead of the actual Mantis that can hit you. So it's kind of the downside. A lot more tanks coming in. He should group them up around this mechs. Again, he's distracting all of the units from Gib. He's pulling them away from the front, giving him time to reinforce. A good move to distract your enemy while gearing back up. So good play on that, and he also keeps some of these tanks alive. And look, pretty much all of those forces are now moving to catch up with the enemy units. That mass extractor is still there, hanging out. It's most likely paid for itself by now. It's been a couple minutes at least. Do have the comm of Escapism Needle holding down this choke point quite nicely. Got T2PD on the way as well as some flak. Got intel. Got a factory for maybe some engineers for some build power. So very good move there, and as well as getting another intel radar system up here just to help secure more of the air, so there's no possible flybys or anything like that. We have a huge push down here on the south from Miles with some T1 forces in tow. Olawane does have that gun speed upgrade finished, and these engineers are going for T1 point defense. They might finish one if these T1 units don't focus them down. Looks like they are going to get one of them down. Help with the defense on this choke point. Let's see, they do get down, and these Auroras are pushing forward, taking out the rest of the supporting units, and Olawane can pretty much just walk Calm of Miles down. He does get a rank in vet. Good to see that. Getting some hit points and some regen back up and running. But he's not looking too good. If Olawane keeps feeding him mass to kill, though, it's probably not a good idea. But he's going to outrange Miles, and he's going to die. So we'll just we'll click on Miles just for a brief second. Can we? There we go. It's not going to tell us the hit points. That's too bad. But that's what he can see. You can see that he kind of blips out of range and out of view. He sees him now, of course, but all Owen has to do is just wait a couple seconds, and he'll still be in range. But this is going to be the first death of the game. Sub 2,000 hit points. Sub 15,000 or 1,500. Sub 1,000. Sub 800. Sub 500. Sub 100. Boom. That is a confirmed kill from Olawayne. Team 2 is down a player. It is now a 4v3. That is definitely not a Control K. T3 air has been achieved for Team 1. We have a spy plane and an ASF hovering over the mini Seton's island. Looks like Distoff was able to hold off the forces of Gib in the middle, as well as reinforce with more and more T1. I'd like to see at least maybe one T2 factory, since he's committing this much mass and this much attention to this middle island. Maybe that'll help secure it more. Spy plane overhead, getting a good readout of what's going on in the back line for Team 2. We have a huge naval presence for Team 2 in the form of frigates from Escapism Needle, but we do have a T2 Corsair cruiser out from Lord Castile, so able to bat away these forces as well as some subs as well. So T2 has been achieved, focusing on Salem production. That's a good move. Getting some destroyers out. It doesn't look like he is Escapism Needle's any position to get T2 as of right now. We do have T2 achieved for Team 2, however, so good to see that at least we mentioned that earlier. That good to see that at least the southern side for Team 2 is not in a deficit in terms of technology. I don't like matches that are realistic, that are one side all the time, because it's not fun to watch someone just get steamrolled. It's good to have a good ebb and flow, a back and forth. It makes for a more engaging game and cast. And if you've been joining cast so far, please like it. Comment down below about who do you think is going to win as of right now. 16 minutes 52 seconds. As well as if you haven't subscribed and you've been watching my content and you've been enjoying it, please subscribe. I greatly appreciate it, and it motivates me and continues to motivate me to put out more of these casts for everyone. Because I enjoy the game, I enjoy watching the game, and I hope that you guys have been enjoying watching the game as well. We have a drop on the way from Escapism Needle to the beachhead of Lord Castile. Looks like he's dropping some T1 artillery going for some economic damage. We have a T1 point defense going down for him as well, but it doesn't look like that's going to really amount to a whole lot if they don't go that way. And they are going to go that way and take out that position. Those engineers are going to die. And they were able to take out a T2 mass extractor, so good economic damage there. We have a lot of engineers coming. I wonder if he's just going to do a mass reclaim spam. That'd be pretty interesting. No, don't go for the PD. No. You don't want to do that. T1 artillery does wonders against T1 point defense. Ooh, and that mass extractor is going to go down. They're done with the T1 point defense. Let's see if these artillery are able to get out of range in time. That's 2, that's 3, and 1 survives, but a gunship comes in to come finish it off. So not that bad of a drop. Got two T2 point, not T2 point defenses, and mass extractors. Excuse me. Wow. And was able to make his opponent spend mass on things that he didn't need to spend mass on. So it's good use of some APM kind of early on-ish in the game. Gunship going down to the flak from these frigates. I'd like to see a couple more of these bombers out to kind of whittle these forces down quicker. We haven't seen a whole lot in the naval game for Biomutant, which was Miles. We do have a line of T2 ships as well as one T1 sub kind of securing this southeastern approach. This bomber is definitely going to get hit by a lot of flak. It looks like it's going for mass extractors, and it does not kill it. So if you wanted to know what the damage is on a T2 torpedo boat from a skimmer, it is 750. Not a lot, but it does make a difference. Let's see if he's able to get another pass. He's going for the naval factory. That was not worth it. He should have just gone for the mass extractor. We do have a further pushback of Gib in the middle by soft. The T and the F are throwing me off. I'm gonna call him soft because it's almost spelled like soft. T1 point defense going down. That kind of might help. The only issue is that all of these forces might just overwhelm. There are Mantis and there are anti-air, but we have soft only going for tanks, so he could easily just push through that and get some nice damage going down. We have the naval forces out from his buddy Escapism trying to help support, but they can do some damage, but the range on those cannons isn't as great as a T2 one. But we do have a destroyer out, or actually not a destroyer, we have a torpedo boat, which isn't super great for this situation, but in other situations it's great. Would probably see more effort devoted to a destroyer, which he's probably getting online now. So good to see that. Still T1 for Gib, and of course T2 for Mutant. T2 has been completed in terms of Navy for Oluwayne. Which is good to see everyone starting to rep up that Navy. Again, even if you secure the middle, this mini Setons, yeah, it's a decent amount of mexes. But T2 artillery won't reach anything. Maybe you'll get some missile range from the T2 missile arrays, banks, but I mean the main driving force for controlling the map and sort of map control and whatnot is the Navy. So putting a heavy focus on Navy for this map would be very beneficial. Even if you're starting to lose some land and control on the land game, you can easily just send destroyers or cruisers and pretty much wipe it out. So this push for the middle might be a good idea in the early game, but mid to late game you might want to switch up to maybe more naval production to help secure and hold that middle island. Mass army, naval fleets from both teams going at it. We have destroyers and frigates kind of doing the bulk of the work. We have another destroyer coming online. I don't see the cruiser was pushed forward too far, so that's kind of a oversight from Lord Castile. I keep wanting to say castle in my head, but I know it's Castile. So, but in my head I keep thinking castle. And because of the loss of that cruiser, all of the pretty much the major anti-air abilities have been knocked out. And these bombers are going to get a decent amount of damage on. We do have a cruiser in tow, but these ASFs hopefully will be able to compensate for the loss of anti-air. And you completely miss! You completely miss! What are you doing? Turn back around! It's just frustrating when you see plays like this. You're like, what are you doing? But they were able to take out 2 destroyers, so that will make a huge difference in the firepower of Lord Castile's naval forces. They are primering, it looks like, the frigates, which, I mean, yeah, you can do that, especially if the destroyers and cruisers are out of range. I mean, some damage is better than no damage, but focusing down the more firepower units are probably the best way to bet. And you could have done that with your torpedo bombers, but the anti-air is too strong. Gunships starting to harass the expansion, but this excuse me, geez, I have something stuck in my throat. We have too much anti-air here. Even though it's T1, these are gunships that don't move very fast, so it's very easy to take out T2 gunships with T1 anti-air, mobile anti-air specifically. Kind of not a whole lot going down here on the southeastern side. We have some naval forces kind of just hanging out, not doing a whole lot. There's no push like there is on the northern side. That's where most of the focus are. But there is a push in mid for this mini Seton's Island. We have a T2 point defense online, and now Soft has included T1 artillery in the mix, which means he can do lots of damage to structures. We have a strat bomber on the way to help support, and he's able to take out that Pini. Let's go and focus on that guy, because he's going to do a lot of damage. Don't turn around. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Just, it's such a waste. I get that he was trying to turn back around and go for a bigger play and help this center island, but could have sent it over here, could have sent it... I don't know, it's kind of almost like a lost cause. The ASF were already in position, and you can see they're hovering in position. The ASF are too late. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're just going to send them in. You send them right past the main forces. That is not a good play. You can see the naval battle going in the corner. But ASF, oh, they're not moving. The air forces out from Biomutant aren't moving, which means Eternal has the better play here. Let's see if his turns are good, though. Yeah, his turns are pretty good. He's holding out. And the ASF forces are being cleaned up for Team 2. So Team 1's going to have air control for now. And yeah, that was it was almost a bad play, and then it turned into a good play. So good to see some recovery on that front. The loss of that strategic bomber was sad, but he was able to take out the rest of the ASF. So pretty good. That is a T2 bomber. I have a torpedo bomber. Where are you going with that? And it's dead. Yep, and there it went. Naval pushback on Team 1 side, pushing them back behind the center line. We do have some naval combat finally down in the southern section of the map, but the overwhelming T2 presence is just too much for the small Aeon forces. Shield boat does get taken out, so that's a good move. Doing some dancing over here, making sure that more and more shots out from these UEF units are hit. You can tell that this is not being micromanaged because they're staying put. So these shots are pretty much hitting every time. And that's a destroyer that didn't need to die. Now Biomutant moves his forces. Are they able to bag that other destroyer? Nope. So I'd say that's a very good trade there in the south. Being able to take out more units than you lost, which is always a good good play. We have some more production starting to ramp up, so more players starting to develop more energy and mass into the naval game. At least 2 of the 4 players on Team 1 and 3 players, excuse me, on Team 2. It's still throwing me off that Team 2's up here and not down here like it is in Seton's, but anyway. Just keep the same location on every map, and then I don't have to figure out and try to remember which placement is which. This force could easily outrun the forces out from Olowain, but we'll see what Biomutant does. He is on 2 bases, so more income, more mass, more resources at his disposal, but less APM. We do have a push, naval push out from Olowain as well. We have a T3 strategic bomber going down. These gunships might be able to take out this T3 headquarters, but it might be too late with the ASFs, and the ASFs don't engage. And that might be a misplay on their front. Able to take out this T3 HQ. No more T3 units for them in terms of land, but they do have a T3 naval headquarters as well. That should probably be primaried, so to prevent the construction of that battleship, because if that comes online, that is bad news in the southern pond for Team 1. But they are going for the air production yards of Biomutant instead, so they're thinking if they can win the air game, that's a better trade for them. If they can get this other fusion reactor down, that'd be great. Okay, we've lost 1, 2, 3 production factories as well as 2 energy producing factory structures. It's not the best situation, but he does keep his up. I was gonna speak too soon, but he lost his T3 factory, so that will slow down the production and cancel all existing future build orders for T3 units. That's a very good move. Almost not really that worth it, but with the loss of that, it was definitely worth it. Team 2's forces in the north have been pushed back by this combined T1 and T2 army. Would like to see this cruiser pushed back just a little bit, so that it doesn't get primaried by any of these destroyers. Also would like to see those moved a little bit so they just units don't get annihilated by those missiles out from the cruisers. That battleship we saw under construction has been completed. And excuse me, it wasn't a battleship, it was a battle cruiser. Excuse me on that. Those laser weapons are very effective against T1 and T2 units in the naval game. Good to see that complement of units. And they are cheaper, so... Oh no, that's the second one. Never mind, we have 2 of those on the front line for Biomutants. So no, that does not look good for Team 1 down in the south in terms of Olawain's forces. But the center middle mini Seton's island thingamajig has been conquered, and now they don't know what to do with it because they're just holding ASFs. They're not really doing a whole lot. Now they're like, crap, now what? They should probably transition, they being Soft, should transition into the naval game and help support his mate in the southeast section of the map. We have a pushback out from Team 2, getting some counter intel boats as well as some destroyers and just more units to push them back and make sure that they don't get too close to the production yards. Navy's starting to ramp up more for both players. We'll see in T3 units, like we said, on the field. More focus going down, more yards going down, more resources, and pretty much APM and anything that players can throw at the enemy being thrown into the Navy game. I mean, you can even put some factories, naval factories in here, which Team 1 has already done, but again, you could devote more resources to here, help push back the enemy even further. But we do have some forward production yards as well. The only downside is if they're closer to the enemy, then it's going to get killed faster. So we have a swim by, I think swim by, moving out from Lord Castile, trying to cut off anything coming in to support from the eastern side of Team 2, taking out these enemy boats and this production yard in the middle. This would be a good thing to bag, all of these gunships just hanging out, kind of just floating on the surface of the water, and they move in response to the enemy action. These cruisers are just going to rip them apart. But they do primary the cruisers, and they are that one is heavily damaged. So let's see, they got a cruiser. They're going to most likely get the Salem. They're going to probably go for another Salem. So that's going to be 2 Salems and 1 cruiser. I'd say that's a good trade. And now they're getting sandwiched, so the move that they tried to do ended up hurting them in the long run. 2 Salems and a cruiser. That's a very good thing to bag, and you're able to pincer move with another destroyer and the remaining forces in the north and make this possible run by into a very bad mistake. And there went most of the fleet in the north for Team 1. This is not looking good for Team 1 in the northern side of the map, as well as the southern side of the map in the naval game, pushing on the main production yards of Olawain. I think I'll call them Olo, like Hollow, but without the H. T3 units holding the choke point down in the south. Let's see if this bomber is able to take out more of them. Takes out 1 Percival, stuns another one, and leaves 2 more. T1 units are just gonna they're like paperweights at this point. This is the main issue though for Team 1, is the fact that they've lost the naval advantage in the north and they never had the advantage in the south, and because of that Team 2 is able to build enough forces up and just wreck shop. But we do have experimental out from Team 2 as well. I'm assuming it's either a Atlantis, or maybe it's a Monkey Lord, or no, he doesn't have any of that tech, but he does have a Novak Center, so Not a bad move there. The enemy is not going to get here anytime soon and can easily shield this back up. They shield this up. As well as none of the enemy units can attack this. So that's just free damage is what we like to call that. Or in case, free blue state. But this T3 naval headquarters going down. It was building, looks like it was building a battleship, but that is not coming online anytime soon. And the base for Alo is going to go down. They are pulling back though. They don't have any cruisers in tow. And mass T2 torpedo bomber spam is in full swing. So we'll see if they're able to at least get some of these units back to base. Get some more cruisers up in line and reinforce. We do have 3 battleships on the way, so more firepower in tow. But if they're not able to get some anti-air or even some ASFs to counter all of these T2 torpedoes, it's not going to matter a whole lot. It'll take a minute or two, but it won't matter. Nothing going on in this northern choke point. Pretty much everything stayed the same for like the entire match, pretty much. Cruiser's doing some economic damage onto his opponent, but I mean, we're talking about 1 mechs. It's not the end of the world. We've seen that Escapism is able to push back his opponent all the way back, pretty much to this middle section of these 2 islands, which is a good land grab as well as forcing the enemy back and getting closer and closer to the production yards. Considering the fact that all of the production yards on the south have been knocked out. And this is where I made the comment earlier in the game that maybe Soft should focus more on the naval game instead of the land game that doesn't really matter anymore because he has the middle of the map. But he is going into air, so not the end of the world. He did pivot, but he should have pivoted into navy. And maybe he could have held them off long enough to at least save a few of these factories. We have some torpedoes out from Team 2 helping to soft up the enemy. We do have a battleship online for Lord Castile, but we have a battle cruiser, so not a lot of long range damage, but able to take out smaller units very effectively. Again, they're just holding position, not moving forward a whole lot. Would like to see a couple battleships, which they are producing as of right now, and maybe send a couple battleships over to the west to help push on the west. And if you could collapse one side of the map, you can pretty much collapse the other side of the map. I understand why they pulled back to help save some of those units when they got a battle cruiser back, and I think that's the only thing they got back. So, I mean, now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 battleships. You could easily just move those over here and just demolish the forces out from Lord Castile. I thought I heard something juicy. Yes, I did. That is a nuke out from Escapism going toward his opponent, which would be the best play, considering that if you're again able to roll one opponent, you're going to be able to roll the rest of them, considering there's hardly any navy to speak of anymore. T3 units on the way, some sniper bots, but again, that's a long walk. Let's see, where is this nuke going to land? Is it going to go on top of the comm, which is going for a stealth upgrade, or is it going for the base? It is going for the production yards. It's a good move, also going for the mass, core mass as well. Let's see if he gets it. Does get the T3 factory as well as all of the core mass. A huge blow to Lord Castile. He was at 246. Oh, I guess that might be reclaim related. But dropping down severely in the generated numbers. All the way down to 80 mass. Oh, dropping down even further. Dropping to 70 mass. That's not great. Not great for staving off this naval incursion. But in terms of mass, just to check out ecos really quick before Team 2 just rolls over that position. We have 1.1k for generated for Team 2, with Team 1 hovering about 830. I'll give him 850. So 250 advantage for Team 2 and a 200 mass, 1000 mass total discrepancy between Team 1 and Team 2. So Team 2 starting to roll over their opponents, taking out all of the air units, pretty much airlocking them over here. Looks like Lord Castile either controlled Kate or just got primaried by all of the torpedoes from the Navy. And that is another loss for Team 1. It's going now a 3v3 matchup. And as you can see, the air units are starting to pretty much prevent any other air units from taking off. And it looks like another player has left the game in the form of, I think that was Eternal. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I am out of here. This is not going well. And that will be now a 2v3 in favor of Team 2. And with them being airlocked, with no Navy really much to speak of, and main bases under threat, this is really looking like Team 1 is on the back foot and might not be able to recover. Which is sad, because they did have a huge advantage in the middle, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. And instead, Team 2 was just able to push and eventually break the backs of Team 1. Now we're just seeing the rest of the demise. Naval forces mopping everything else up, making sure there's no chance of survival. I do credit both the players in the south side of the map for continuing on instead of just quitting like their compatriot did. Which again, I mean, yeah, the writing's kind of on the wall, to be fair, but don't just leave unless you've done everything you can. Especially with, you know, somebody of rank 1600. Like, that's, you know, I mean, you're pretty good at the game. Maybe you could have recovered. Maybe not, but still. Still stick it out for your teammates. Torpedo bombers out from Soft, going to take out the rest of these destroyers. Again, no movement on the land game, so like I said earlier at the beginning of the cast, yeah, it's kind of important, but the Navy's going to be more important, and as you can see, land wasn't really that important in this game. We have another experimental built, most likely another satellite. Let's see, can we find it? I don't see it anywhere. It's not on one of these really weird islands. It's not forward. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Yep, another satellite. Looked right at it and didn't even notice. 2 satellites online. Pretty much nothing that can counter those as of right now for Team 1. They're starting to be hemmed into this little corner. And I'm just going to speed it up just a little bit because it doesn't look like a whole lot's going to move in the opposite direction. Naval forces out from Biomutant, hemming in the forces of Olo, making sure that they don't get any recovery to speak of. We did get a T3 naval factory online, but not going to do a whole lot. We have a naval unit built. Looks like it's another satellite. Yep, so that's 3 satellites online for Team 2. And they're starting to just whittle down the rest of the enemy forces. It is kind of sad to see, like I said, Team 1 did have the advantage, and there goes the comm of Olowain to Navy bombardment and plasma, leaving just Soft against the world. Eternal's base is being mopped up, as well as Lord Castile's base. Let's see, where is the comm of Soft? I don't see him anywhere, but it doesn't matter because he control Ks and leaves the game. I don't even know where he was. Like, can we pull that up? Nah, let's see. Can we pull up? Where was you? Oh, it doesn't. It's not going to tell me. Anyway, yeah, I don't see his explosion. Maybe he backed out or something. I don't really see anything, honestly. Anyway, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate all of your support and your suggestions on how to improve my setup and everything. I am looking into improving the audio quality of my voice and also fine-tuning the volume for the game as well. So if you noticed if the sound effects for the game are too loud, or they're too soft, or I'm too loud, or I'm too soft, please let me know down in the comments, and I can get better and better at casting, so you guys can get better and better quality casts to watch and enjoy. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.